We were one happy global family, and then one day, best laid plans just blow up. Yeah. My wife and I put all of our assets and our livelihood into this, and the building is here. It's not like we can take this building and go somewhere else.
Still have, the caveat of people that are just like, when do we open back up? Like, don't want to go look for another job because they've been here for 12 years or 8 years, and this has become like a sanctuary for them because they were able to come to work, have a nice work family, forget about other problems and issues they had at home. They were safe, with us, and they don't want to lose that.
Yeah, we had to encourage folks to move on. We didn't know the first few days, we didn't know it was going to happen. And you don't want to lose everybody. But the first time we were able to come down here, I think it was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we came down, it was like, oh.
And that's when we had to start telling folks, it's not going to be quick.
It's a lot of shock. You're just shocked. And so your body has a hard time processing, just what you're seeing and taking in can take longer. That makes you feel out of touch. It makes you feel out of sorts. It makes you feel like you can't make decisions. Obviously, there is anxiety and a heightened sense of fear. And in this case, there wasn't loss of life, but the fear for many of them just was that immediate, like, what am I going to do? This is my livelihood. This is where I live. We were supposed to have Christmas this morning. These were the things that were on my to-do list. Not this, not coming in here and trying to recover what I can recover and looking at all of this time and energy and money that I have put into building something just to come in here and just kind of find it in rubble.
It's very hard to, on a spreadsheet, list all the possessions that you had in the store. Whether it was artwork or whether it was a ladder or displays or all the rest of it. So that was a challenge to put everything down on paper and then, of course, put a value to it.
And then worry if they were going to go on pandemic numbers for our loss of income. That was another thing too. And it's been a very weird year of us not working. That's all we know. That's all we've ever done.
When this thing happened, I was immediately taken with the logistics of just putting fires out. Not literal fire, but the fires of just tending to immediate needs, and I really didn't even have to didn't know what to think of financial matters. As soon as the bombing happened, FBI immediately took control of the perimeter, and our building was not accessible for first 36 hours. Part of our building, sprinkler went off, and the city officials couldn't even get to the building to turn off the sprinkler for 36 hours. We literally had sprinkler water running through the building for 36 hours.
When victimization happens, and this would be true for anything, but when victimization happens, everybody's going to respond to that a little differently, especially in those initial days and weeks after that, because everybody brings different tools to the table to work with. And whatever we have been taught in terms of how to respond to trauma, when the trauma happens to us, that's how we're going to respond to it. And so for some people, what those immediate needs really were resources. They just needed to know what was available to them. So much concern, and so much concern still to this day, is really around finances. And so, just having those immediate questions, as much as we possibly could be answered, was really the services that were needed in that moment.
I think when it first happened, we didn't know where to turn. Nashville hadn't faced something like this. They didn't know where to turn, and we didn't know where we could go for help. Like Jeff said, just trying to get in, and then the monetary part of it and agencies. And little by little, it has unfolded and unrolled, and we have received the help we've needed as far as finding answers and where to go. And Nashville Strong was huge, not only for our business, but personally, they've helped us pay some reoccurring bills that were in the scope of what they could do. They've been very easy to work with. As long as you supplied all the documentation, that has been kind of a relief too, because some of our everyday bills have just been taken care of.
Well, immediately, Salvation Army, we talked with Major Frizzell down there, and he was fantastic in that he was very able to quickly organize some support for our staff, but most importantly, he was able to explain to us and help us understand what everybody was going through, because they've been through it so much before. They were originally the ones who actually helped us connect with both FBI and Catholic Charities, who have provided a tremendous amount of support. So we're really fortunate to have that, because it's been extremely disruptive for the lives of our team.
We did receive a lot of help initially with taking care of our guests who were here. Actually, we had like over 20 people in the building at the moment the bombing happened. A lot of organizations stepped up to just provide immediate provisions for our guests who were caught up in that the moment. Right now, we're just in the middle of going through the insurance. I'll be quite frank with you, if insurance coverage pans out the way I was expecting, we should be okay. But there's a lot of things that I'm finding about the insurance coverage, how the insurance portion of the business work that I had no idea prior to the event. And that whole navigating the process has been quite difficult, and I really don't know how it's going to turn out. It's
really going to depend where people land as they continue to recover, and no place that people land is wrong. That's, I think, the important thing. Like, what I always want to caution, especially when there's a group kind of who's experienced a victimization, it's very human nature to look at ourselves and look at somebody else and say, oh, they're there and I'm here. And we have to fight against that on some level. We have to convince ourselves that it's okay if I'm having a different emotional reaction than maybe somebody else's, no matter what that is. Like, my story is my story, and I have the right to respond to this victimization the way that is my response.
Everything has its layers, like an onion. You just keep peeling back and figuring out what you do next. You get a surprise and go, then you pivot. You figure out what's the best way to be able to hopefully set everybody up for success, because at the end of the day, is all people want to do is get back to some sort of semblance of like normal. So that's what we're hoping for.
We've been down on 2nd Avenue for so long that there's nothing that surprises us. I mean, we've had floods, we've had fires, we've got any myriad of things that happen on 2nd Avenue. So when you hear something like that,
and we were going to retire there.
You just instantly think, it's just 2nd Avenue. It's just something, a propane tank exploded, something like that. So there was a period of denial. There was a period of thankfulness we weren't down there. That's usually the time when I'm down there doing resets and picking up deposits and whatnot. So, and after that, it was, I don't know, I think quickly recovered. I mean, the ball bounces forward. I mean, it's either you can dwell on it and be mad, or you can move on. And we'll do our best. We'll do our best to come back here and serve the people that we have served over years. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of people that's gone through my business, from around the globe. And whether it be at this location or somewhere else, I mean, that whole process, we'll find out in the coming days. And the rest, we just let the good Lord lead us to where we need to be.
From the bombing perspective, I mean, really what I have seen are people who passionately care, not just about the community, which is important, but they care about the individual. I think that genuineness and that compassion just it reminds people in trauma that there are people out there who care. And so to be able to have connections with case managers and counselors, with the ladies on the business committee who understand what it means to try to navigate all of that, is just priceless in so many ways. And so I think it's just really beautiful to have this opportunity. And, from a professional perspective, I think it's been really cool to have this blending now between the victim advocacy world and that natural disaster response world. To see what some of these agencies do and get to hear, because we've had so many natural disasters as we've been responding to the bombing, to hear what they're doing, in response to all of the natural stuff too. I mean, it's just been remarkable. It makes me proud to be a part of this community.